Entergy is proud to support programming on LPB and greener practices that preserve Louisiana.
The goal of our environmental and sustainability initiatives really is to ensure that our kids and future generations can be left with a cleaner planet.
Additional support provided by the Fred B. and Ruth B. Ziegler Foundation and the Ziegler Art Museum located in Jennings City Hall. The museum focuses on emerging Louisiana artists and is an historical and cultural center for Southwest Louisiana. And the Foundation for Excellence in Louisiana Public Broadcasting, with support from viewers like you.
Lake Charles is an important American city.
Making sure America doesn't forget, with recovery just beginning.
It just kind of still feels unreal.
They survived the storm, then died in the hours following.
Unfortunately, we've had way too much experience with things like this.
Laura becomes the worst of 3 major hurricanes in 15 years.
It's kind of hard to describe, but it's exciting to be alive.
A man's 10-year journey from security guard to med school.
Hi everyone, I'm Andre Morrow. My co-anchor Natasha Williams has the night off. Much more on those top headlines and the aftermath of Hurricane Laura in a moment on this week's edition of SWI. But first, a look at the managing of now 2 disasters by Governor John Bel Edwards: hurricane recovery and COVID-19.
The governor was in Lake Charles Wednesday for a 3rd time since the storm hit. Laura made landfall as a strong Cat 4 and maintained hurricane strength until it left the state.
As a result, Hurricane Laura left a long trail of devastation and just catastrophic damage. And obviously it's worse in southwest Louisiana, but it is very, very considerable throughout its track.
Louisiana's latest coronavirus numbers are out. New cases and hospitalizations remain high, but overall are trending down. Edwards, though, is urging everyone with the weekend here to not let your guard down.
We know that the last surge in cases in Louisiana started with Memorial Day, the holiday weekend that traditionally starts summer. Now we're about to have Labor Day, the holiday weekend that ends summer. And so what we don't want is a repeat of what we saw in Memorial Day.
The governor says that means gatherings of 10 or less and not close together, wearing masks, and the continuous thorough washing of your hands. And now we'll look at other news making headlines across the state.
Growing numbers of people are turning to the state to try and find a place to stay after Hurricane Laura blew apart much of southwest Louisiana. In addition to thousands of evacuees staying with friends and family and putting themselves up temporarily, more than 11,000 people are being sheltered by the state. Baton Rouge and New Orleans are where most are staying. Louisiana Workforce Commission leaders say businesses and people living in 6 parishes impacted by Hurricane Laura can apply for disaster unemployment assistance. The help was made possible when the governor asked the president to sign a major disaster declaration. The parishes include Allen, Beauregard, Calcasieu, Cameron, Jefferson Davis, and Vernon. You can apply until October 1st. Operation Blue Roof with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers is working to put blue tarps on the roofs of damaged homes so people can live in them. 2,700 homeowners have already registered, and blue roofs are expected to start going up Saturday. The state needs people to work polling locations for the fall elections and will pay for your time. $200 for Election Day workers, $100 per day for early voting poll workers. Concerns over staffing is up because of the coronavirus and because more than half of election workers are elderly. Good news from state tourism officials. Most of the state parks will be open and ready for this Labor Day weekend upon us. Some in southwest Louisiana still need time for repairs.
You see that quote from the mayor of Lake Charles that he fears that amid a national crisis, his decimated city will be forgotten. I talked with Mayor Nic Hunter Thursday.
You have said that we absolutely need our American brothers and sisters to realize that a great American city had a major blow. So what would you say to them?
I would say I reaffirm that statement daily, hourly. As I traverse the streets of Lake Charles, I sometimes just can't believe what I'm seeing. And there's really two disasters we're dealing with. One was the storm itself, and we got through the storm itself with zero loss of life. And that's an amazing feat. Unfortunately, after the storm, there have been some additional deaths inside the city of Lake Charles. But the second disaster is the immediate aftermath and the recovery. And one of my greatest fears is, with everything going on in America right now, that Americans will forget about Lake Charles. I don't want that to happen. And it can't happen, because Lake Charles is a great American city, and Lake Charles is an important American city. We are the epicenter of energy exports, specifically LNG exports. We have our people, our culture, our people are really what make us great. And we want Lake Charles citizens who are displaced to be able to come back home. But the task right now is Herculean.
No power for weeks, the water system damaged. So what updates can you give us at this point, so those life basics, when they would be restored?
Every day we have progress. Yesterday, the highlight of my day was when Entergy released a public statement saying 2 to 3 weeks for power. And that's a bold statement, because I don't even want to tell you what was going on in my mind 4 or 5 days ago, looking at some of these images. And the estimates that I had in my mind were much further out than 2 or 3 weeks. Also, we have made the public statement that our water system in Lake Charles is to the point now where within 1 week, we will have enough water capacity for our citizens to function at their homes with they and their families. Now, it's still a boil advisory, of course, but to have water, to have electricity, and realize that that's maybe 2 to 3 weeks away for both of those, God, that's amazing. That's progress. Right now, 98% of the roads are traversable in Lake Charles. Still dangerous because of traffic, no traffic lights, no stop signs. When I see a power line hanging, or when we see a power line, a power pole that has dipped down into the street, I'm calling Entergy and they are on it.
Estimates of $12 billion in repair damage in a year that's been one big loss of finances and loss of health with COVID.
It seems like there's one social issue or one medical issue or one Mother Nature issue after another. And I'll tell you what, if Lake Charles can make it through this, and we will, we are going to show the rest of the country how resilient and how strong we are. So just as there's many people in Lake Charles that have the ability, though they may have to scrape it and claw to pick up the pieces and repair their homes and start moving on, there's a lot of people in Lake Charles that do not have the financial ability to do that on their own. And that is where we are begging and pleading with the federal government to understand that, and our nonprofits around the country. I can tell you right now, we have had food and water and toiletries pouring in to Lake Charles, and it's needed, and we need that to continue. What we really need right now is manpower, especially nonprofit groups that are willing to work some chainsaws and put some tarps on roofs and maybe enter into a contract with some of these homeowners for a reduced rate to get their homes back to functioning again. And everywhere you look, it seems like there's a new mountain to be climbed, but we are going to keep our eye on the mission. We are not going to be distracted by unnecessary noise. And right now in Lake Charles, I don't care what race or creed you are, I don't care what political party you are, we need to help people. We need Americans caring about a great American city and their American brothers and sisters right here in Lake Charles.
Mayor, thank you so much for your time. God bless.
God bless you. Thank you.
For one family in Lake Charles, their loss is far greater than they could have imagined. The family lived through the terror of the storm, came out fine, only to then die from carbon monoxide poisoning after the loss of power forced them to use a generator. Natasha Williams spoke with Ebony Lewis Broussard about the family tragedy.
Ebony Lewis Broussard says as Hurricane Laura tore through the Lake Charles area with winds topping 150 miles per hour, they could have never in a million years imagined the tragedy the superstorm would leave behind.
It was just devastating to hear the calls. Like, everybody was just so shooken because I just spoke to my aunt hours before. Like, that night I texted her at 3:15, just checking in on them, didn't get a response. At 10 o'clock the morning of, I texted her like, hey, are y'all okay? And still no response. And then about 30 minutes later, I got the call from my stepmom saying that they all had passed. It just kind of still feels unreal, like just already like knowing that our entire city was kind of like wiped away by, like, we just watched the videos online, just watching everything, like all the damage, and then being in contact with your loved ones, like right after the storm, and then a few hours later figuring out like they passed from an accident. And it's just so much in our family at one time because it's like 4 family members gone and 1 in critical condition. It's a lot.
81-year-old Rosalie Handy Lewis, her daughter, 56-year-old Kim Lewis Evans, Kim's husband, 62-year-old Chris Evans, and the family matriarch's brother, 72-year-old Clyde Handy, all victims of the silent, deadly gas carbon monoxide. They'd been using a generator in the garage when the area lost power because of Hurricane Laura. All were overcome by fumes, leading to their deaths. But Broussard says family memories they shared over the years at graduations, weddings, and family reunions will last a lifetime. She says her grandma Rose was very close to her heart.
My grandmother was like, it's my favorite. She literally is just amazing. Like, the grieving process has been just kind of difficult, but like, I'm overall just grateful like we had these people in our lives, because anybody that knew any of them knew how great they were. My grandmother was the first Black mail lady in Louisiana, first black post office supervisor in Louisiana. She was a strong member in our community for her church. She was very protective of her kids, her grandkids, made sure we all came together for holidays. She's amazing. Like, she's a poet, a journalist. She just always had these catchy phrases to tell everyone, like, just very uplifting overall. And she's just like a ray of light. When she spoke, people listened. And I'm just so thankful that I had her in my life as long as I did. I believe she lived a full life, just full of happiness and love. And like, she loved all of us so, so much.
And her Aunt Kim, who was also her godmother, was Miss Rose's caregiver.
My grandmother actually got sick. She had a stroke, and she started just going through the steps of dementia. And my Aunt Kim really stepped up. Her and my Uncle Chris took my grandmother into their home like with open arms, and ended up letting my grandpa live with them as well. And she was just amazing. And she basically filled the shoes that my grandmother was wearing for all these years. And she started doing all the holiday gatherings, all the family gatherings, checking in with everyone and just making sure we were all okay, while she was, just stressed out having to take care of my grandmother. And my Uncle Chris, like, I always tell people, he just irked my nerves so much all the time. It's like we just butt heads. Like, we both have strong personalities. Like, he's a character. And like, he for sure would tell everybody he's the best cook. He's the best uncle. And he just had this cocky demeanor about him, but like, everybody loved him. And he really stepped up with our grandparents, and like when our family really, really needed him. And my Uncle Clyde, he was just the sweetest person. Like, I wasn't extremely close to him, but he was always there for holidays, always stopped in. He kept this little pocketbook calendar, like, with everybody's birthdays in it. Like, that's just how sweet he was.
She says her family is strong and they'll get through this and deal with everything else that Hurricane Laura threw at them. She says they will do it together.
Some are taking it harder than others, but I know for a fact we'll get through it. Like, everybody in our family is pretty much really big on going to church, and like a family that prays together stays together type of thing. So I know that we'll get through it. And like we all just have 4 amazing guardian angels now watching and helping us to get through it. And it's hard. It's hard to manage. And on top of losing 4 family members, all of my family has damage to their houses. Right now, like we're all kind of displaced, like wondering like when we'll be able to go back to town. So it's a lot.
84-year-old John Lewis Sr., who was also in the home, survived initially and was rushed to a hospital in Alexandria. However, he too passed away Wednesday, 2 days ago. The family has started a GoFundMe page to help with the 5 funerals. You can donate at the link you see there on your screen. The recovery of Lake Charles following this severe blow from Laura could take years. But before the storm even made landfall, a close group of friends and family already knew what they would do in the immediate aftermath. I went to Lake Charles with photographer Rex Q. Fortenberry to meet them.
So unfortunately, we've had way too much experience with things like this.
The experience that Chris Ieyoub is talking about is the kind that's forced upon you when Mother Nature goes on a rampage and turns everything you know upside down. It tests your resolve, and facing such trauma alone can break even the strong.
As an individual, when you walk up to a scene, you may be overwhelmed and not see a path. And with a crew assembled, with everybody filled with optimism and know-how, it's incredible how quickly we can get the job done.
Chris says it's the beauty of having people come together that makes all the difference. So here we have fathers and sons and friends and neighbors doing the work that has to be done first.
We fought our way back in and began immediately figuring out how to rescue and rebuild. So the core group that forms the volunteer troop that I'm a part of is really led by Commander Mike Notier. He's a local engineer. He's got an engineering and construction company. The group is very family-based and oriented, so we have our children, cousins, aunts, and uncles. And because of our Lake Charles connection, there are so many family members to help as an initial order of business that we're never lacking anything to do with our emergency relief effort. So for this job, what we're going to do is make sure that we're clear here so they have access.
As we watch, the crew finishes their 4th house of the day. There are plenty more on their list to do.
We're trying to do our best. Everybody, there's a lot more crews just like ours doing the same thing, you know, lots of them. Lots of friends of mine are off doing the exact same thing.
The main focus right now is getting everything functional, tarping roofs, cleaning up water leaks, getting trees out of the way, making sure people have running water, food, shelter, things like that.
It's a ton of work, but as hopefully you've been able to capture in watching the crew, the more we have assembled, the quicker it goes. Today was a good example of what we call a hot list, and again, starting from within. So family members on to our employees. That would include employees of the law firm, employees of Polaris Construction and Engineering. We try to make sure that everybody we're connected with is okay. And in order of priority, we want to make sure that anyone whose home was exposed or penetrated is taken care of. And that really involves removing the offending tree or whatever weapon penetrated their home, and then going in with a tarping and a roofing crew to make sure that they're sealed off from further acts of Mother Nature.
John Davis works for BP, and he and his family rode out the storm in their home.
The whole beginning of the storm all the way through was not as like what I was expecting. We didn't have any large trees around our house, and we were in a very high area, so we didn't expect flooding just due to that. And all the way until the eye passed us, it was a lot of wind, like what you would expect in a hurricane. But then my son and I, we went inside after that. We were under the garage. We went inside after that, and we came out 2 hours later, and that's when we really realized all the damage and all the trees were down. But none of that happened in the front of the storm. It's really quite bizarre.
The mark left by Laura, the destruction, is familiar, Chris says, but worse than those Hurricanes Rita and Ike left in 2005 and 2008. He's dealing with some of his own major storm issues. This is the law firm where he's practiced since 1985. He says there was a third floor, but it's gone now, and much of the interior is trashed. In downtown Lake Charles, Laura's fury targeted major casinos and office buildings. The Civic Center has big damage, and the city's most recognizable high-rise, the 22-story Capital One building, got the worst of it. Powerful Cat 4 winds, possibly combined with spin-off tornadoes, shattered many of the tower's green glass windows, and that left interior spaces exposed to the swirling elements. On top of all that, it's unknown when Lake Charles will have the basics of water and power again.
The power grid was devastated. We've talked to representatives of Entergy. If you look at the power grid, it's above 97% in terms of damage. It only takes a drive down Ryan Street or Lake Street to see that the major transmission poles, which were built to withstand anything, have all snapped. And so the projections for electricity are fairly dire, probably a month.
So Lake Charles and much of southwest Louisiana remains dark, but the numbers of outages, they are coming down in central and north Louisiana. A decade ago, Russell Leday was a full-time security guard at the Baton Rouge General Hospital when a chance meeting changed the course of his life, the influence of one surgeon in particular. Now, Leday is doing a rotation in pediatrics at that same hospital, and as he was helped, he plans to help others who look like him wear a white coat too. Natasha Williams has the story.
Born in Lake Charles, where poverty outweighed privilege in many homes that look like his, Russell Leday could have easily become another statistic.
I started off in the military. I was in the United States Navy for 5 years for active duty, and then another maybe 4.5 years on reserves. Close to 10 years all in all. And, you know, I think what the military taught me is that, I mean, anything is pretty much possible if you're willing to work for it.
Leday apparently taking that to heart, and with a little push from his wife, he was on his way.
My wife convinced me that I was smart enough to go to college. I definitely didn't think going to college was ever an option. Didn't even think I was ever going to be in college.
He would enroll at Southern University and take a job as a security guard at Baton Rouge General Hospital to pay the bills and support his growing family. That job would prove to be a pivotal stepping stone and a chance to ask lots of questions of doctor after doctor, although he says he still had no idea medicine was in his future.
How does that turn into, a conversation with the doctor who apparently let you shadow him? I mean, how does the person who's like, I'm not really sure about this college thing, what do you do? How do you do it? How does that turn into, hey, doc, can I shadow you?
Yeah, I think I just started dreaming as I was walking through the hospital, like, maybe I could do this, or it's a possibility that, that I could be one of those people.
So one day as he watched and walked doctors into and out of the hospital, he asked to shadow and was rejected several times until he met Dr. Patrick Grivenstein.
As we were walking, I was like, man, what do you do? And he was like, oh, I'm a surgeon. And I was like, oh, okay. I was like, you think I could shadow you? And he looked at me and was like, yeah, why not? He was like, why not? You might like this. And I was like, well, we'll find out.
And he did, taking classes all day, working hospital security at night, and shadowing in the operating room, often foregoing sleep.
Like some days I would stay over. So I'd get off at midnight and I'd study until the next morning. And because I maybe didn't have classes that day, I just wait for them to come in and do some surgeries and just do surgery with them and then go home and sleep.
And it was safe to say his career path quickly started taking shape, graduating from Southern University with 2 degrees, then heading to NYU where he earned a PhD, and now at Tulane working on an MBA and in med school. Back in Baton Rouge walking the same halls he did as a security guard, but now as a 34-year-old pediatric resident.
It's kind of hard to describe, but it's excited to be alive. And so it's rare that I get tired. Because I'm just so excited to be living a life that I literally never dreamed I'd be living. Like every day is like the first day of school. You know, I'm excited to put my clothes on. I'm excited to, you know, to have my white coat on. I'm excited to learn something new. Like, you know, everything is like stuff that no one ever told me as a kid I could do this stuff. And so like now I'm like living out dreams that I never imagined.
And as he lives and continues to dream, he hasn't forgotten where he came from. Right after Hurricane Laura hit, ripping Lake Charles apart, he jumped into action, collecting $30,000 in donations to help those in need on the very streets he rode his bike as a child.
To see it so just decimated, like you go down the main streets and it's just power lines and trees in the middle of the highway. And I'm just like, this is incredibly, you know, just heartbreaking. And so I'm still trying to like process it. This week, I'm organizing 2 more U-Haul trucks to go down there.
And Leday's giving back is only beginning. He has big, big plans. He wants kids who look like him to know they can wear a white coat too.
I think economic transfer is like the next big thing for me, is making sure that I can secure enough funds to pay for an entire incoming class of minority students throughout the whole country.
Leday is planning to specialize in pediatrics and child psychology. And everyone, that is our show for this week. Remember, you can watch anything LPB anytime, wherever you are, with our LPB app. You can catch LPB news and public affairs shows, as well as other Louisiana programs that you've come to enjoy over the years. And please like us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram as well. For Natasha Williams and everyone at Louisiana Public Broadcasting, I'm Andre Morrow. Thanks for watching. Until next time, that's the state we're in.
Entergy is proud to support programming on LPB and greener practices that preserve Louisiana.
The goal of our environmental and sustainability initiatives really is to ensure that our kids and future generations can be left with a cleaner planet.
Additional support provided by the Fred B. and Ruth B. Ziegler Foundation and the Ziegler Art Museum located in Jennings City Hall. The museum focuses on emerging Louisiana artists and is an historical and cultural center for Southwest Louisiana. And the Foundation for Excellence in Louisiana Public Broadcasting, with support from viewers like you.